Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight, and we're here to talk about AEW. Following their very excellent Revolution pay-per-view, Dynamite comes at us tonight with a pretty good episode where they didn't really do all that much, but what they did do was tremendously effective in getting me excited for not just next week's Dynamite, but for everything that is to come, and we are going to talk about it right here and right now, everything that I loved, and the couple of things that went a little bit wrong, because there is always something, and that's what we do here on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the AEW Dynamite Review and Reaction Show. Let's do it.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Alright, Sledgeheads, thank you so much for hanging out with me once again tonight. AEW has been making me feel good about being a wrestling fan, and tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite, there are 4 words that made it extremely special, that made it very, very entertaining, and that got me really excited. And those 4 words are Jake the Snake Roberts. Oh, was he some old WWE guy, Mr. Nightmare? It's just more of the same, Mr. Nightmare. Stop that right now. Don't even come at me in my comment section with a ridiculous, dumbass comment that is going to compare bringing Jake the Snake Roberts to AEW to bringing a Goldberg or Oldberg or any other retired WWE reject back to the WWE, because it's completely different. How is it different? Well, let me explain to you how it's different. Why am I sounding like Seth Rollins when I'm doing that? Oh, that's because I'm being a whiny little bitch about things, right? But no. We're not here to talk about Seth Rollins. Jake the Snake Roberts, coming to AEW. He's coming to do what gentlemen in the wrestling profession at his age are supposed to be doing. Jake didn't show up at AEW tonight challenging Chris Jericho to the AEW Championship to get another run at the top because his son never seen him wrestle before, or some nonsense bullshit agenda the WWE would throw down your throat. That's not why Jake the Snake Roberts is here. I doubt he even steps foot in the ring even once. But when you are that age, and you have a name value like Jake the Snake Roberts, and you are one of the best talkers in the entire industry, he says more by saying nothing sometimes than most people will say in a 20-minute diatribe on Monday Night Raw. Jake the Snake Roberts adds value to anybody you put next to him. He's not coming to take the main event spot. He's not going to be main eventing the next pay-per-view. He's not going to be given championship belts. So stop with that asinine comparison. And it doesn't matter who Jake the Snake Roberts reveals his client to be, whoever it is, their stock immediately is risen just by being placed next to Jake. And his promo tonight, the promo he came out and cut on Cody Rhodes on Dynamite, is a masterclass in professional wrestling promos. He didn't raise his voice, not even slightly as much as I'm raising it. The man knows how to deliver a promo. And he talked real with his Jake the Snake conviction in his voice. And he didn't get all upset, and he didn't rant and rave. He was factual, to the point. He looked Cody Rhodes in his eyes, told him to stop being a little crybaby bitch like Seth Rollins. He told him he was coming to AEW not to take over the whole company, but just to take Cody's piece of the pie. This is so much good stuff coming from somebody who was on the brink of death. And if not for Diamond Dallas Page and everything that he has done to help Jake the Snake Roberts. And if you don't know anything about any of that, I highly recommend you check out The Resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts. It's a film that there was made a documentary film that followed everything that was going on in his life. And to see where he was then and how he has returned now to the professional wrestling industry and is going to take some young kid under his wing and bring him to a higher level on the roster. It's an amazing story. And you have to take 2 seconds to say thank you to a guy like Diamond Dallas Page. He might be a little bit out there. His health, views might be not your style. But the man is saving lives. He resurrected Scott Hall. He's resurrected Jake the Snake Roberts. Don't compare this to what WWE does. It's completely different. It had way more impact than Colt Cabana. I'm not a Colt Cabana guy. Not. I've not seen much of him. I didn't really get into him 10 years ago when everybody else was talking about how great Colt Cabana was. I know he was CM Punk's friend, and that's maybe why I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Because CM Punk was my guy. And if this was his buddy, then fine. But now when I see him come out, I don't get it. Just like I didn't get it with some of these other people, like Orange Cassidy and some of the other talents on AEW that I'm just not familiar with so much, but Colt Cabana to me just doesn't make me pop. Colt Cabana and his whole thing just seems kind of cringy to me. Seems a little bit cheesy. Not my type of an act in professional wrestling. Just very bland. Looks like the guy that lives next door to me mowing his lawn every day. In the middle of winter, no less. But what does Colt Cabana add to AEW? Is he really gonna bring in ratings? Is he turning heads? Is he worth having on the roster? The roster's got enough people on it right now. We don't even have a secondary championship for these guys to be chasing over. Why do we keep bringing in more and more guys? Really, the only guys we're interested in seeing are guys like Matt Hardy coming in, guys like Lance Archer coming in, guys like Brody Lee coming in. All potential partners for Jake the Snake Roberts, and all also potentially big things to happen for AEW. Colt Cabana? To me, not so much. Definitely not. Jake Hager versus QT Marshall. QT. That's the guy's first problem. Problem with QT Marshall number 1. QT. His name is QT. What's the fucking Q stand for? Quinton? Quinn? Quill? Quid? Quat? Whatever it is, it's better than QT. Oh, he's QT Marshall. Problem number 2. A Titantron featuring a bunch of rolling fucking apples just to make this guy look more like an asshole. What? Who thought of that? Oh, well, he's from New York, Mr. Nightmare. He's from the Big Apple. I'm from the Big Apple. I'm sitting here live talking to you guys from the Big Apple. You see fucking apples around me? No, I'm not going to roll an apple on the screen to tell you guys, hey, I'm from New York. You could tell that just by the way I fucking said New York. QT Marshall. Nothing wrong with the guy as a performer. He can go in the ring. His match tonight with Jake Hager doesn't make you believe that. And then the way they finished this matchup, the finish of this match was very underwhelming. Jake Hager pretty much hugged him to death. He hugged QT Marshall until QT didn't feel QT anymore. He passed out. Hopefully when he wakes up, he remembers what the Q stands for and then uses that going forward. Quinn Marshall. Quinton Marshall. Sounds like a guy's name. QT. Ridiculous. Give him a name. It's very off-putting. Doesn't make me want to root for him. The only reason I even care at all about him on this night is because they paired him with Dustin Rhodes. And they're going to be the Nightmare Squad or whatever. They're going to take my name and put some other fucking adjective at the end of it and steal every possible gimmick I could use when I make my debut at House of Glory. But I don't see it. I just don't see it. And while we're talking about groups, we got the Nightmare Family, I guess they're going by. Or the Natural Nightmares, whatever they want to fucking call themselves. We have way too many factions happening at AEW. Way too many. Now, I love me a good faction or two, and there's always room for more than one. But 6 to 8 factions is too many. Do you guys remember what happened in the WWE back in the late 90s when we had 5, 6 factions roaming around? Because DX was so popular, and then you had the Nation of Domination, the Disciples of Apocalypse, Savio Vega and the Los Boricuas. All of a sudden, everybody was in a group, and nobody cared, and it just became a big jumbled mess. And look what's going on in AEW. You got the Dark Order. You got the Elite. You got the Nightmare Family. And now you got the Death Triangle. Death Triangle. They couldn't have came up with a better word. I guess AEW's obsessed with shapes. We got the Inner Circle. We got the Death Triangle. What's next? QT Squad? For QT? And I don't know. It's a little much. You got the Jurassic Express. You got the Best Friends. All these 3-man teams. Or 3 or more man teams. Everybody's riding with somebody. It's like gang warfare over there. But none of it seems to have any meaning. Everybody's just kind of fighting everybody. Pac's like been obsessed with Kenny Omega, but now he's fighting Orange Cassidy, and tonight he's fighting Chuck Taylor. And it was a good match. Pac, I don't think, can have a bad match. He made Chuck Taylor look fantastic. And the interaction at the end of the match, when Orange Cassidy came in to stand up for his buddies, was great. And I was into it all up until that moment, until the Lucha House Party comes out. And yes, I meant to say Lucha House Party. Now, I don't have anything wrong, anything truly against the Lucha Brothers. I'm just kind of tired of seeing the Lucha wrestlers right now. I'm being overexposed to it. I'm watching too much wrestling is what it is. So it's just hard for me to care about all these guys coming out in masks, doing flippy moves everywhere I look, and them teaming with Pac. Well, on paper, maybe it looks good, and their stats are going to be impressive as a group. I don't see it. I don't see how it clicks. I don't see why this was the direction they needed to go in. Pac is the kind of guy that could stand on his own. He don't need a bunch of friends. I don't know. Those are some of the things on this night that I did not enjoy. But I'm not saying it was a bad show. Don't get me wrong. It was a great show. But there are always things wrong with professional wrestling shows. It don't matter who you are. Everybody can always aspire to do better. And that's why I'm here, to try to nudge people in the right direction. If they happen to come across this show, maybe they'll take some of these criticisms to heart and do things a little bit more smoothly. You know, change names like QT to something that, you know, might actually sell merch. Make these guys better. Don't just keep throwing them at us over and over again. Essentially, this show following Revolution was not like this huge, big, impactful show. We didn't have any huge names debut. We did have the big moment by Jake the Snake. We had a great promo by MJF. Great promo by MJF. He was wearing a shirt that said, "I pinned Cody." And he made reference of this shirt, and he said, "Oh, this shirt's a little arrogant and obnoxious and kind of, you know, kind of like a neck tattoo." Taking shots about Cody and that ridiculous neck tattoo, which I erased from my mind when we did the Revolution review. I forgot all about it. It's almost like I didn't want to remember. So I'm trying to forget. Now, the tattoo itself is fantastic. It's beautiful. It's his Nightmare logo with the red, white, and blue coloring. But he put it right here on his neck. I would have went full on shoulder. You know, or maybe down on the calf. Maybe on the upper back part or something. Like, it would have been cool. You would have been able to still see it every time you went out there to wrestle. Why you gotta have it on your neck like that? I don't know. It's very off-putting. You can't ignore it because it's right there in your face. And MJF took shots at it. But he also put his sights on the AEW Championship. It seems as MJF is making his way towards an encounter with Jon Moxley. Cody Rhodes is going to be moved away from MJF and is now going to be involved with somebody that Jake the Snake brings in. And they also have Blood and Guts coming. They got Blood and Guts coming, and this is going to be great. Blood and Guts is going to be AEW's War Games. It's going to be happening right here in New York City as AEW comes to the tri-state area on TV for Dynamite for the first time. It's going to be fantastic. Maybe that's why they're making all these groups. Maybe once this matchup is over, they'll start to make everybody go back to singles again. And if I'm going to go out on a limb and say who's going to be in this matchup, I'm going to tell you guys I'm thinking it's most likely going to be the Elite versus the Inner Circle. Now, they are teasing Cody and Dustin and Cutie's involvement and the Nightmare involvement. Maybe it'll be a three-way and you'll have Cody and the Nightmare family versus the Elite versus the Inner Circle, which is a possibility. But, you know, we'll have to wait and see. Everything that's been moving forward with MJF keeps him out of that at this point, and hopefully we will start seeing him move towards Jon Moxley. But it appears that the Inner Circle ain't going anywhere. And here's one other thing that I don't want to complain about, but one thing that I think they did wrong is that they teased the possibility of Chris Jericho going away for 60 days. If you're in the know, like I am, you all know that Chris Jericho has the rock band Fozzy and that they are scheduled for an upcoming tour in a few recent weeks from now, if I'm not mistaken. And this would have been a perfect way to write him off TV until he can have some kind of a really cool return and he wraps up his tour with his rock band. And I'm feeling like they missed the boat here, because the amount of things that would have to happen following this. Who's going to step up in Jericho's absence in the Inner Circle and keep the group together? Is it going to be Hager? Are they going to bring somebody else in? Is it going to be Sammy? Like, they would have been able to generate somebody else, or not generate, but to elevate somebody else into that leadership role. Maybe when Chris Jericho comes back, they start to think, no, well, you know, this is my Inner Circle now, and maybe you turn Jericho babyface upon the return, change things up a little bit. He did his job. He came in as the heel. He did his job. He got over the number one face in the company, Jon Moxley, which actually I think is debatable. The number one face in the company just might be Darby Allin or Orange Cassidy, if we're being fair. But Jericho did his job, put over Jon Moxley. For Jericho to go away right now would have been great. It would have been good TV, and it would have forced them to do some creative things with the Inner Circle going forward. Instead, we are going to continue to see Chris Jericho leading the Inner Circle as we go forward, which isn't a bad thing, but I think the other option that they had here gave you more possibilities and made it more intriguing. Would have definitely given you a whole lot more reason to tune in to see what the hell's going on with the Inner Circle with Chris Jericho not around. Because with Chris Jericho around, it's just going to be much more of their usual shenanigans, which is always fun to watch anyway. So I'm not mad at it. I just think they missed an opportunity here to really build something else towards the future and change AEW's roster up a little bit and get the babyface side a little bit more even with the heels, because there's just so many heels around now, man. But anyway, that's another story for another day. Those are some of my minor criticisms on this show. We're going to hit a few more as we go up and down the lineup, but let's talk about this show from top to bottom. The show opened up with the Jon Moxley promo where he promised all of us he's going to be a fighting champion. He says AEW and that belt that is on his shoulder stands for professional wrestling. AEW and us, the fans, we brought professional wrestling back. And this was all great. He promised to defend the belt with his very life, and whoever wants a shot can get a shot, but he'll choke them out and drop each and every one of them on their head. But Chris Jericho, of course, in the Inner Circle had to come out. He told the crowd to shut their ass. He said, shut your ass! Chris Jericho is a treasure. He's a gem. This whole interview was great. This back and forth was great. Very tense. Jericho laying down the line. He said if Moxley walks out of the building on his own power tonight, Jericho will take a 60-day leave of absence. And Moxley accepted all this. This was a great segment. Moxley's promo was good. Jericho is just next level good, especially when he's talking shit on the mic. Really great way to kick off the show. The first match on the show featuring the return of Colt Cabana as he teamed up with SCU, taking on the Dark Order. I don't know if maybe I just had my expectations a little bit higher since, all the Matt Hardy videos surfacing and knowing that he's probably... I say knowing and probably. That's not how you do. We don't know if it's a probably, but Matt Hardy is all but set to come to AEW after he talked to the Bucks of Youth on his YouTube channel. If you missed that video, you could go check it out on Matt Hardy's own YouTube channel as well. And maybe I'm getting exhausted with the Dark Order and all that stuff, and it just needs to take, whatever this next step is, it needs to take it. I'm tired of hearing Evil Uno. We don't know who the Exalted One is, and, they're not even really hinting towards anything. I thought maybe we would get it by now, but I guess they're playing the long, slow game, which is okay. We just got to be a little bit patient. I was just maybe expecting something to happen here. It's the show after the big pay-per-view. You know how WWE has the Raw after WrestleMania? I thought they were going to really build up this show and give us a 1-2 punch this week. But this was just a good show. It was nothing nothing overly great. But for the most part, I enjoyed it. This first opening matchup, I didn't really care too much about. I watched it. It was a 8-man tag. It's just another 8-man tag. Colt Cabana gets the win with his weird Chicago skyline thing, or whatever it is it's called. So he comes in and he gets the win. The Dark Order gets a loss here, and I'm thinking that with the Exalted One coming, they would probably want to showcase them a little bit better, make them get some wins, or is it just all going to be about how Matt Hardy or whoever it is that it ends up being the Exalted One is the reason for the Dark Order to make the turn and become maybe the most powerful thing on AEW. And the only problem with the dark things in AEW is that there seems to be too many of them. And, we got rid of the Nightmare Collective, but now we also have Jake the Snake coming around talking about he's going to be bringing the darkness to Cody Rhodes. So, it's just a lot of contradicting darkness storylines still. And it's okay. Jake the Snake's thing, I'm not going to poo-poo that because I'm looking forward to seeing what the hell he's going to do. But it's just, you see too many similarities going on with too many storylines, you start to be like, I don't know what that means, but that's what you be like when you're watching it. Oh, I can do this a little more because I'm ashamed of the women's division tonight. I love Big Swole. I thought Big Swole was great. I hate the fucking name. I hate Big Swole. I hate that name. Makes me think of a gigantic throbbing cock. Big Swole. I got Big Swole in my pants and I want to give it to my wife. That's what I think about when I hear Big Swole. But I know who Big Swole is. I know where she's come from. I will never forget seeing her infamous squash match with Nia Jax on Monday Night Raw, where I felt tremendously bad for her before I even knew who she was. She did show up in the Mae Young Classic. I thought she was fantastic. She is married to Cedric Alexander, and I feel like she should be showcased much better than in a quick squash match with a librarian that nobody gives a shit about. Can Leva Bates even wrestle? I know I don't watch AEW Dark, and I'm not going to start watching AEW Dark so that I can see things like this. I just feel like this was a phone-in woman segment. Well, we'll just throw a quick women's squash match because we got to have the women on the show, and we'll give the segment to Big Swole, and she'll beat the librarian from nowhere that means nothing, and we'll just move on. And the worst thing about all of this, really to me, even in this short amount of time, was Britt Baker on commentary. I was listening to Britt Baker on commentary, and I felt like my gums were bleeding just from how terrible she was. She's got no emotion. It's like she's got no range. She delivers everything the same exact way. I am the best. I am the face. I am the this. I generate views. I generate that. I am here to lead the women's division. She's like Robo Charlotte. Almost the same thing, only not as robotic, but very monotone. It's like she can't get excited. Maybe she should have brought a cup of coffee for herself. She brought a cup of coffee out for Tony Schiavone. They're still playing off of that. I don't know why. Have a sip. You need a little energy. You need a boost, Britt Baker. Terrible. Terrible. Cody Rhodes entered for a promo. He said the only way he can deal with losing to MJF is if MJF would come out to the ring right now and say to Cody's face that he beat him fair and square, which we all know he did not. Instead, we get my favorite moment of the night. Jake the Snake Roberts comes out to a very closely related song that sounded very much like his entrance music from back in the day. Just a little bit of a standard cover of it, I guess. He's tired of listening to Cody Rhodes cry, the Snake says. He says he never cried over a match, not once. He said he's not here to praise Cody, he's here to slay Cody. What? What awesomeness is this? This is Jake the Snake Roberts. This man walked into the ring and started smelling the ropes. Inhaling the turnbuckle because he misses it so much. And he was getting ready to deliver us a prime moment by ingesting professional wrestling. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. Jake says he's got a client, and the dark side is coming to AEW. That's a pretty good Jake, right? The dark side is coming to AEW. Said it's been 20 years since he's had a shot, and he isn't going to be a nice boy. He said he'll be on the outside when his client takes on Cody. And Cody can bring that one-trick pony, Arn Anderson. I thought that was phenomenal. And then the best part, and one of the ways you know that this guy has not lost his touch, and one of the things he did that the new generation just cannot touch. I talked about this on Twitter. If you were following me, you see me say it. Jake the Snake Roberts, right now, came out, delivered this promo, and finished it in a way that would make the new generation cream in their pants, because they would never be smart enough to do something like that. And I wonder how many people are going to copy it going forward. Jake the Snake told Cody, a long time ago, a very smart man told him that you never turn a back, that you never turn your back on anybody that you don't fear, or anyone you're afraid of, or anyone you respect. And then Jake the Snake Roberts turned his back on Cody Rhodes, walked out throwing the microphone. I did it absolutely no justice. I flubbed the line. If you missed it, there is one reason to go back and watch it, and it is just to see this. It was one of the most intense things you will ever see. Cody Rhodes looked confused as shit. Every time Jake dropped a little pipe bomb on him, he reacted appropriately. And then following the whole segment, Cody Rhodes himself on Twitter, one simple tweet, WTF. What the fuck is right, Cody Rhodes? And I'm looking forward to what happens coming up out of this. It's going to be something great. I'm hoping that it's Brody Lee. I don't think Lance Archer needs him. I think he's got a great look and a great character all on his own. He's coming to be killing the elite. But Brody Lee definitely could use the rub. And why not? The guy was managed or, partnered with Bray Wyatt. He was a member of the Wyatt family. He's already got that really weird aura about him just based off of that. And it's the same kind of aura that Jake has with him. And they would make a great pairing. I hope that that's the way they're going. Immediately inserting Brody into the main event picture where he belongs. And no, schmucks, he's not just some WWE reject. This is a guy that could go. Do you remember his short stint in WWE? I thought he was going to break out and be amazing. But Vince McMahon squashed his ass because he couldn't do a southern accent. Because he wanted this guy to walk out like a friggin' clown and pretend to be something he's not. They're going to let him be himself. They're going to team him with Jake the Snake. It's going to be amazing. Brody Lee and Jake versus Cody and Arn. Take my money. I'm ready. We mentioned briefly before, Pac defeated Chuck Taylor. This match was very good, as Pac's matches always are, but it was the aftermath that really sold this matchup and made it bigger. Orange Cassidy squared up in the face of Pac. Just as they were about to get going, the Lucha Brothers came out. Pentagon and Phoenix hit a double super kick to Orange Cassidy, and they announced they were a team. They said this is the Death Triangle, the Triángulo de las Muertes. Sure, nobody is safe. Like, that's what, and nobody's safe. Every group says the same shit over and over. And now no one is safe. We had a video where we seen Tully Blanchard and the Perfect 10, Shawn Spears. And they are in search of a tag team partner. Still, good to know. There's been many weeks where we've had no fucking idea this was still going on. But here we are. And there's a hashtag, Search for Spears. The most interesting thing about this is when I went onto social media today, and I was looking through my feed, Simon Miller from What Culture sent in a submission to Search for Spears, and it got the attention of Shawn Spears. It got the attention of Cody Rhodes, and I'm pulling for Simon Miller right now. That's going to get an up from me. I got your back, Simon. I hope he gets it. That would be fantastic. I certainly don't think they're going to do that, but just the fact that they gave him the nod and gave him some sort of recognition in this is fantastic. He's probably feeling over the moon right now. And congratulations to him. That's the best thing about this whole thing that I can tell you. Otherwise, we're going to maybe be seeing interview segments. This is going to continue, and then the search is going to conclude with, I guess, somebody. I don't know. Obviously. Jake Hager versus Cutie. We talked about this. I'm not talking about it again. This was a very underwhelming matchup. What was the most important part about this matchup is what happened after the matchup, which is Santana and Ortiz ran in to beat down QT, and then Dustin Rhodes jumped in, and then Cody Rhodes ran out, Matt Jackson ran out, everybody's trying to save everybody, and Hangman Page, the unsung hero of AEW, comes out, the drunk hero of AEW comes out. This was a fantastic segment. Hangman Page single-handedly cleaned house, then nailed Jake Hager with a buckshot lariat, and then flipped off Matt Jackson and walked out. So he came out, he did the right thing, but then when he seen the young buck standing there, he was like, bro, this one's for you. And then left, partying with the crowd. This is another one of the most intriguing storylines AEW has got going, and it's one of the reasons that I'm still tuning in every week, and I'm sure it's one of the reasons you're tuning into. Hangman Page coming off of this tag team with Kenny Omega, as I said months ago, before they even really set foot on this path. This was the way to go, and this is fantastic. Kenny Omega's getting bigger by the week. Hangman Page, you cannot tell me by the crowd reaction that this guy is not over, and it's great. Seeing how he was literally just one of the crowd at Dynamite's launch to now taking the reins and riding that horse, cowboy shit style. It's fucking fantastic. Fantastic stuff. Some announcements for next week's show. Cody versus Ortiz in a singles match. I really just wish they would use Proud and Powerful as a fucking tag team. You know, don't get into this WWE mode where tag team wrestlers are just more guys for you to pluck and use to fill in wherever you need. They should be running roughshod over the tag team division. We shouldn't be seeing SCU as tag team champions up until now. We got Omega and Hangman as the champions right now, which is fine. But before them, it should have definitely already been Proud and Powerful. And where has Private Party been? Stuck at Dark? These guys can put on a match of the year candidate against each other on any given night of the week, and the fact that they're not working against each other is criminal to me. And the Inner Circle is killing Proud and Powerful. In my opinion, I know these guys personally. I've seen them work in House of Glory over the last few years. They are way better than this. They deserve to be more than some lackeys from Jericho, and Private Party should be on TV. We're going to have the Blood and Guts rules announcement we're going to have the Jurassic Express versus MJF and the Butcher and the Blade. So that's the setup for next week. We got the pre-taped promo from MJF saying that AEW fans deserve a new head writer, and it's him. He promised to be the best world champion in history when he takes that belt from Jon Moxley. He talked about the I Pin Cody shirt, took a shot at the neck tattoo. Very, very effective stuff coming from MJF. Best heel interview in the entire industry. Fantastic stuff. He's going after Moxley. I'm all for it. I'm glad that they're not continuing with him and Cody right now. That's going to be something we revisit once MJF maybe even becomes champion. But for right now, it's nice that we're going to take a break. Cody's going to go do this. MJF is going to go do that. And they're not going to oversaturate us, no matter how good the story is, with the same matches over and over every week like we're used to. Jon Moxley got jumped by Santana Ortiz and Jake Hager as he was entering through the crowd for the main event this evening. They dragged him out onto the concourse and then beat the snot out of him back there, throwing him into the walls. Jake Hager hit him in the balls, then tried to choke him out, which seemed to be effective. Which means the main event tag team matchup was now a 2-on-1, and Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara were taking on just poor little old Darby Allin. But don't call him poor little old Darby Allin, because this man is a force to be reckoned with. He is so over with the crowd, and if you didn't think Darby Allin was a star before tonight, go back and watch that matchup, the main event of tonight's Dynamite, and then get back to me. Because this kid just shined brighter than the sun tonight. All by himself, pretty much single-handedly took on everybody in the inner circle. And it was fantastic. There was no way that he should have made it even as far as he did. We had some really great coffin drop on Sammy Guevara. Jericho broke up the cover, however, and then Darby Allin tried to do a tope on Jericho, but ended up falling face first into a Judas effect, and then Darby Allin would go on to lose this match. But this match was all him. Even in this loss, Darby Allin won because he looked like a damn megastar. It was fantastic. Reminds me of a young Jeff Hardy. And he's got the makeup thing. He's connecting with the crowd. The skateboard spots are great. I'm into it. I love it. And I think Darby Allin is set for success in the future, which is why I am hoping that this second title comes soon, because these guys like Darby need something like that to elevate the entire roster. If he was their Intercontinental Champion and he's going to go out there and have matches with Sammy Guevara and Pac and all these greats in the ring, it's going to be fucking phenomenal. I can't wait. I can't wait. It's definitely going to take Dynamite from where it's at to a much higher level overall. After the match, after Darby Allin got his ass kicked, Jon Moxley made his way to the ring. He got his ass beat as well. He would end up being put through a table with a powerbomb by the entire Inner Circle from the entrance stage. The Inner Circle then posed all together at the top, giving the finger to Jon Moxley. Some real good stuff. It was kind of, like I said, this was a good show. I expected it to be a little bit bigger. No real big debuts. I thought somebody, when Moxley went down at the end, I thought for sure this is where they were bringing somebody in. Whether it be Lance, whether it be Matt Hardy, or somebody. But they didn't, and I'm glad that they didn't, because Darby Allin at the end of the day made himself in this matchup. This was a star-making performance. It was all him. It was fantastic. It was a thumbs-up show. Thumbs-up show. But they still definitely have some work to do. Thank you guys for checking me out tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of AEW. You probably didn't. You probably didn't because you're an AEW mark who probably fucking hates my guts because I tell you guys the truth about how I feel about AEW. And you know what? It's not all fucking wine and roses. sometimes some stuff stinks, and I gotta tell you guys how I feel. That's the whole purpose of the show. That's why we call it Everything Wrong With. So you should already know coming in that we're going to be pretty negative, while still trying to remain as positive as possible. Even with a thumbs up show, I'll tell you guys what I find wrong. And the hammer always falls. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the Team Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, his tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue the Snowball. The most important member of the team, as always, is each and every one of you. And now it's time for you to do your job and hit that subscribe button if you're not already a Sledgehead of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV. Get us as high as we possibly can. We are so closely inching towards 2,500 subscribers, but I want to hit 10,000 by morning. So hit that subscribe button. Smash that like button if you had a good time here today. If I made you laugh, if I made you cry, if I made you understand why AEW, even when it's really good, has its moments where things are wrong, smash that like button right now. Share this video with each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, especially if they need to be knocked down a peg or two off their AEW high horse, because no show is safe from the wrath of the Hammer. That's what you could do, and don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section so that I know how you felt about AEW, and sometimes you guys validate me because you're like, yeah, you know what, Nick, we felt that way too, and I really do appreciate that because at least I know I'm not completely insane sitting in my office, in my home, talking to a camera that may eventually be nobody, which makes me kind of crazy. But I know it's not going to be nobody because you guys were here with me today, and I can't thank you enough for that. Don't forget to check out everything else on the channel, including the super shit-down hammering, the weekly hammerings of Monday Night Raw and Suckdown, which will be coming at you guys later on this evening as well. Make sure you are here to catch it all. That, my friends, is going to do it, and we are out of here. We will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com, where nobody will be named Cutie.